Hi, Nathaniel Whiston here, and welcome once again to Hollywood Stars of West Anglia. Today I'm travelling to the village of Sawston. It's to the south of Stapleford, to the north of Pampersford, and to the west of Babraham. It's in South Cambridgeshire and it's in West Anglia. This is the final episode of Hollywood Stars of West Anglia, and today I'm arguably talking about the biggest and best movie star of all time. Another big name, and in fact it's probably the biggest name. He is a cultural icon. His career that spanned over 50 years continues to fascinate film lovers to this day. He had a mystique and a charisma that influenced his peers and set him apart as the greatest actor of his generation. So let's go on the waterfront, where hopefully we won't experience apocalypse now, and enjoy one last tango in Paris, or Sawston, Cambridgeshire, and talk about Marlon Brando. What possible connection does West Anglia have with the great Marlon Brando? You can't believe it, I know. I dare say that some of you are actually scoffing while you're watching this. Well, button up, because in 1971, Marlon Brando starred in a film called The Nightcomers, directed by British bon vivant Michael Winner. It's a horror film, and in it, Brando plays Peter Quint, the gardener who tends to the grounds of a famous manor house. And in it he embarks upon a torrid affair with a governess, and he's the guardian for two small children who are captivated by these fascinating stories that he tells. This is not important. What's important is the manor house in the film is Sawston Hall, and that's where they filmed it. And Sawston Hall is in Sawston in Cambridgeshire in West Anglia. So there you have it, Marlon Brando, West Anglian connection. I hate to say I told you so, but I told you so. Thanks for your text, Jeremy. Yesterday I got the message. I'm not invited to your wedding. And you've blamed it on Liz, because me and her don't see eye to eye. I don't know what her problem is, Jeremy, to be honest. I really don't. But the thing is, you haven't stood up for me, have you? She said don't invite him, and you've just been a pushover there, haven't you? You know what, I'm not really fussed, to be honest, mate, because I was interested in coming to your wedding because I wanted to come with Alison, and I wanted to do something normal and show her that I had friends and that we could go and enjoy a special occasion and get dressed up. But this week we've decided to knock things on the head, so that's all come to an end. I'm going to have to move out. I've got some time, I don't have to move out immediately, but the sooner I go the better, really. And then this week I also find out that Sean's become my boss at work. I thought he was leaving, but it turns out he was working on his CV and applying for a job within the company, and he's been promoted. So yeah, not the best week of my life. And your wedding is not really at the top of my list at the moment, Jeremy, so yeah, not fussed. Good luck with it, yeah? I'm filming near Duxford today. Sawston isn't a million miles away from Duxford, and the problem is there's always such a racket with all these planes going up. There's one there now. You won't be able to hear it on here, but when I'm outside that could be a problem. You'd think for an RAF museum it would be quite quiet, there not having been a world war for a good 70 years. Right, we're here, we're in Sawston. I bear witness to a phenomenon making this series. Right, so get this. Marlon Brando came here to Sawston in 1971 to film The Nightcomers, and before that the 60s had been a very tough period for him. He'd made a load of box office failures, big budgets, all gone wrong. He was seen as being this extravagant prima donna, and people talked about his films from the 50s and how good he was then, and they spoke about him wasting his talents, throwing it all away. So by the 70s he was really down on his luck, not doing so well. He came here. 1 year later he films The Godfather, his most iconic role. And I saw this before with Bob Hope, I saw it with Errol Flynn. They come to West Anglia and then their careers just take off. I found 3. Okay, so maybe there's an academic or a professor out there who wants to write a paper about it, can talk about the West Anglian effect, but there's something that goes on here that can really help you become an established Hollywood star. I told you. See, can you hear that? Don't think you can see it. Weird planes in the sky, courtesy of Duxford, messing up my filming once again. Even though Brando would play it down in his later years, he was synonymous with the method style of acting. What this meant was that he drew experiences and events from his own life and channeled those into his roles. For example, when he split up with a girlfriend, he would use that emotional turmoil and channel that into a character. If he was betrayed by a good friend and not invited to his stag do and his wedding, he could take that anger and put it into a very aggressive character. Or perhaps changes went on at work he didn't agree with, like he got a new manager, and he could use that frustration and put that into a screen role as well. So it could be a very effective technique. Critics were harsh on The Nightcomers when it first came out. The New York Times in particular gave it a real good kicking, although they did single out praise for the performance of Marlon Brando and the handsome old country house of Sawston Hall. The film was a prequel to the Henry James novella The Turn of the Screw. People nowadays complain a lot about prequels and reboots and reimaginings, but they did this in 1971. Sure, it wasn't very well received, but look at it now. It just goes to show that it takes a long time for a trend to catch on, and now they're as popular as they've ever been. I seriously think I would have less trouble with planes if I was filming at the end of the runway at Heathrow Terminal 4. Marlon Brando famously bought his own island. It was in the Pacific Ocean in French Polynesia called Tetiaroa. It seems like an awful waste of money to me. If he wanted paradise, he could have had it here. Sure, there's no gorgeous white beaches or curved palm trees or gloriously blue seas, but it's a paradise of sorts, a different type of paradise. He always said that his heart wasn't in Hollywood, that if he had the moral courage to refuse the money, then he would go somewhere else. Perhaps his heart could have been here. And another one. Can you see that? Duxford again. Duxford have done me again. I've followed this footpath, not a stone's throw from Sawston Hall. Well, a stone's throw if you're Jan Zalesny. But anyway, perhaps Marlon Brando came out here for a wander in the field. Quiet moments during filming to reflect on his character, on his motivation, that method style of acting. And this would have been a lovely place to come and just take everything in. Me and this cat in a staring match. Marlon Brando is a fitting choice for the last episode because he's kind of the glue that holds all of the Hollywood stars of West Anglia together, because he's got a connection to all of them. He once criticised Clark Gable and Gary Cooper as having terrible acting ability and relying on their personalities. He once appeared as Fletcher Christian in Meeting on the Bounty, and that was a role that Errol Flynn had done in a film years before then. He nearly appeared in The Egyptian with Gene Tierney, but he dropped out at the last minute. and he once called Bob Hope an applause junkie, somebody who would turn up to anything as long as there was a few people there. So I'm not really saying anything here. I guess I'm just patting myself on the back for choosing Marlon Brando as the last episode. The signs all said this was a footpath, but actually it's just a field covered in cowpats. There's no footpath part to it. Brando famously didn't do sequels. He was offered a lot of money to do The Godfather Part 2 and Superman 2, but he turned them both down, insisting that once he was finished with a role, he moved on. I'm very similar in that respect. There's not going to be more episodes of Hollywood Stars of West Anglia because I'm done with it. I'm moving on. That, and also it's a struggle to find more Hollywood stars who have a connection to West Anglia. But apart from that, me and Brando are very similar in our philosophy. Unfortunately, this is as close to the hall as I'm going to get today because it's a private residence. It was recently on the market for 5 million. You could probably get it for 4.5. And it's behind these gates where they filmed The Nightcomers, where Marlon Brando came. When they were selling Sawston Hall on the estate agent's website, they even mentioned that The Nightcomers was filmed here, suggesting that added value to the house. And that makes me think of all the towns and villages that I profiled throughout Hollywood Stars of West Anglia. Perhaps they will see an upshot in tourism, or they will see some sort of financial benefit. So it would be nice to be remunerated for that, of course, but actually just people getting enthused about West Anglia and this place and these locations is enough for me. Finally, a bench. I've been walking everywhere today and I haven't seen a bench. Usually on one of the footpaths you find one, but I could just do with a sit. I should be angry, Jeremy. I should be angry with you. I should be angry about the breakup with Alison, about the stuff going on at work, but I'm not. It gets me down, sure, but things will be fine. It will take time, but soon things will be fine. And there's nothing to worry about. There's another plane from Duxford up there. I can hear it. Last one, Jeremy. You know how to edit these. I know I give you a hard time, but thanks. There was a quote I wanted to use and I haven't used it. It was one Marlon Brando said. It was, "The one who goes his own way can't be overtaken." And I'm not really sure what it means, but I wanted to say something insightful and deep because it's the last episode and Marlon Brando said it, so hopefully you watching this will get something from that quote. End of the series, Jeremy. This concludes our creative partnership. You'll go off and get married and have babies and get high up in your workplace and maybe buy a second home in Provence. And me, well, I don't know what I'll do. That was Sawston, and that was the story of Marlon Brando's time here in West Anglia. Sadly, that's the end of this series. I really hope you've enjoyed watching it. I hope you've enjoyed finding out about Hollywood stars, finding out about West Anglia, and finding out about Hollywood stars in West Anglia. Thank you very much for joining me on this journey and for watching my videos. I'm Nathaniel Whiston, and I hope to see you again soon.